Welcome to Smart Haus, a Pittsburgh podcast about smart technologies, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and the future. I'm your host, Dustin Dowling, and with me today is filmmaker producer Darin DiNapoli. Darin, I think this is your third time on, right?
This is my third time on.
Oh, welcome to the
like
show,
a staple.
Darin.
I'm like Andy Richter, I guess.
Yes. To be honest, I was thinking like maybe he's just the guy. Maybe we keep him because look, you brought all these toys and all these gifts and stuff. So tell me what you've been up to, and tell me what you brought for us today.
Well, I brought two things today. So one is the Insta360 Sphere, which attaches to the Air 2S DJI drone, and this allows you to take 360 video through your drone, and it's set up in a way that when you're flying this, your drone disappears and you just see the space around it.
Now that's the crazy part, is like it basically disappears. Yes. So I think I've seen some footage lately of someone flying this into fireworks, and he was really, now when he did like a spin move real quick, you could almost catch the blade.
Yes.
Maybe in the corner.
Right.
But besides that, you're right. That's the weird part. What I've seen with these devices is like it feels like they're just magically flying in some way.
It's not totally perfected, but I feel like the whole concept of it in putting a 360 camera onto a drone, before, when you tried to do that, it would block the GPS. That's what I've always had issues with. Is when you try to attach something to a drone, you would always fly into unknown territory. Possibly you'd be worried that you're going to crash your drone because there's, factors at play. Whereas like this one was designed that it's not going to block your GPS. The only flaw in this design is how it sits. So you have to take off from this pad. You can't just or you have to launch with your hand, which I haven't got that. I haven't got to that level yet because I still feel
that's one reason I like the Phantom. Everyone was always like grabbing them by the legs.
Yeah, right.
And letting them launch that way.
That's right.
I have seen the really small. Obviously, you couldn't throw the 360 on those mini ones, but I've seen people literally throw them in the air.
Yeah, right.
And
I just think I haven't been that brave because I feel like for some odd reason tech could possibly malfunction. And there goes.
Wait, what do you mean tech still malfunction? That doesn't happen.
Right.
It's 2020.
Right.
It's 2023, Darin. Like you said, tech no longer malfunctions here. That's the new thing. We're fine with that stuff now.
So the other thing is, like I said, like the way they designed this, there could have been some kind of like pad. I'm sure somebody did like a third party thing, but like it should be able to take off. Like there should be like a launch pad that sits up in the air.
You're right. They just kind of sits in there and just kind of balances.
But now it has to land
right
on the ground, so you almost need to have you have to have your landing pad.
Yeah.
Because when you take off these things, you're just, it's an exposed lens. And when you scratch your lens or anything, if you would land on cement, there goes your entire camera.
Now, how many lenses are on this? Does it look
says
like
2 lenses.
2? So you got there's a camera here
and a camera on the bottom
here, and they have the huge fish lens, so it basically gets.
Yes.
And I'm guessing this is batteries.
That's your battery. Yep. And then it takes an SD card. So the thing, and that's the other thing too, is like it connects to an app and you can control it. But once the drone exits a certain level, you lose connection to your 360 Sphere. It's like they need to come out with some controller that gives you a longer distance to be able to monitor what you're photographing.
So often, or I shouldn't say often, you might just be going I don't know what I got. But I'm going to fly up there, and I know I'm going to lose signal on the app, but it's worth it just to kind of figure out what we're going to get.
I think in a way that, when I've been doing the past year is doing a lot of samples with this, and you just kind of have to take a leap of faith. You have your camera on your drone that you can see everything that's in front of you, but to actually say, does it work with a 360 shot? That's another question. You have to wait till you come back home, and you load it into your editing software, and you're like, how does this look? You don't know.
So what are your deliverables right now? Are you shooting for people to watch on their phones, or are you thinking okay, someone's got to put this in a VR headset and they're going to live it through?
So I think there's two things. I think that is one cool thing. If you want to be able to fly to a space and let people see it through VR, I think that's a new thing that people haven't been able to do with. Or if you're following somebody, say you're flying through the air and you're traveling following a motorcycle, and someone's like, wow, I feel like I'm Superman. That's great. The other use for this is how it can give you a fake FPV drone look. And that's what a lot more people are using this Insta360 sphere for, is because all you have to do is lift up and lift down. But then these cameras in the software, you could just like do a flip if you wanted to, but your drone isn't technically flipping.
Right. You're basically just keyframing.
You're basically
because it has
keyframing,
all the. Okay.
Yes.
That's great.
So that's a more what I've been teaching classes over at PCTV and talking to beginners about this stuff. And I said, this is a more advanced thing as opposed to like just a regular, but it allows you to essentially, when you use keyframes correctly, it can fake different things using a 360 camera.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, in a similar fashion, how I was talking to you before we started the show, is I'm starting to make more verticals than horizontal content. And I said, well, now I'm actually keyframing more.
Yes,
It's a similar thing. I just have less data. You have 10 times more data, but I'm doing the same thing. I'm obviously shooting a wide range, and I'm like, okay, the character's moving from the left of the screen to the right of the screen, and it kind of looks cool cinematically on the phone. It looks like there was a move that happened.
Right.
And I'm just doing keyframing in my editing software.
I think the hardest thing with that is, as a filmmaker, traditional filmmaker, not all of your stuff, you learn to shoot on the rule of thirds. That is how, you're the interest, the subject, you're framing, but then when you try to reorient it, like say you were using a gimbal or it becomes weird because then things go offset and it doesn't frame up. And I just had that occur. This is getting off the topic of the drone thing, but it's also now going into another thing where, you're trying to produce social content, and we all know that reels and vertical video is the new way that people consume. Mm-hmm. So I just did a show last week, and it was filmed with a gimbal, but like the gimbal wasn't like, center cut. So I try to like move it around. I just said, forget it. I'm just going to plop the video in the center of the frame and then do that thing where you expand it and blur it out and kind of like put information in the top and the bottom. So that's another technique that people are doing to not break the frame, as they call it.
Yeah, so I originally was doing that, and because I would have shots like my wides, I'm like, I need this wide, or even the take was better in the wide. Like, I got to go to the wide because it doesn't make sense. And it's like, well, okay, I'll just squish it and I'll do the focus or whatever design. And then I watch that and I'm like, I hate it. And I even see I can look in the analytics and stuff, like everyone else hates it too. And so I've tried, it has worked if I stack, like I got to make it I can't just go out of it all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like, first off, I told myself I'm no longer doing the out of focus thing. Like, you can get close because there's so much text and stuff on a lot of the apps that you can kind of hide it in there. Mm-hmm. But even visually, when I watch stuff back, I just get that feeling. This is how I consider myself an editor. It's almost like an anxiety where it just feels better if it's full to the top, full to the bottom. And if I have to go to the wide, I have to come up with some kind of creative trick that makes it cool. And what I've done is like, it's almost like a comic book. The beat has to be right. You have to have the right transition or effect, and then you could stack the pictures of sorts. So they're basically saying the same shot, but like the left side's on the top and the right side's on the other side. Yeah. And then as long as the timing's right, it can work. Yeah. But for me to get there and to make that, I was like, how do I do this? And it's like, I've been so trained on the rule to, like, the cameras are still built that way, and you're starting to see footage of people, building their cameras sideways. And I just got a big cinema camera. I'm like, I don't want to put that thing on its side.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I did it was funny because I did a shoot last year, and we were shooting something for Spotify, and it was they interviewed Chase Claypool, and they were just asking him what his Spotify Wrapped playlist was, and he was talking, and literally it was a guy with an FS7, but his framing was for vertical video, and that's what they ended up using it for. So they're spending thousands of dollars just to shoot a little section of the whole frame.
I know.
Which I feel like I feel like you have to overshoot in some aspects. Like you would say, you have to shoot for 16:9, and then you have to say we're going to do another take, but it's going to be for 9:16. Some people don't do that because they just don't have the budget. But
so what I have been doing, first off, the reason I was almost considering when I start making some more short films, is like, why don't I just use my phone and I'll use good audio? Because the phones, pretty damn good. And then I'm just like, well, then I don't learn the camera. The whole reason why I do these creative things for myself is I learn the gear, I learn all the equipment very well. And like, I still got to use the camera. And so what I've been doing is just overshooting a little bit more. So I kind of have to shoot like a little extra coverage because I have to think is like, I'm going to need the vertical look at that. So I'll still shoot my wides and stuff. Cause in my mind, like if it's good enough, it can work in the old dynamic. People still watch YouTube. It's still very popular.
Yeah.
But what I end up doing, I either find a way to either take a snippet of that short film and I cut it down to a minute, or the short film just ends up being a minute. And so you kind of got to plan for just a few extra shots, knowing that I'm not gonna be able to cut to the wide here, but I still shoot the wides because sometimes I need the left, the middle, or whatever. You know, like I said earlier, like I can keyframe through it. So it's this weird, like not truly double the work, but this extra process because you have different deliverables.
It is double the work, and I'm basically the past 2 months I've been doing that because a friend of mine said, you know, you need to get on Reels because, you know, you're doing stuff on YouTube and that's great, but when, you know, you see the content in that format, you know, not everyone's going to see it. So I started going back and I started reforming all these videos that I've created for my comedy channel in 9:16, and it's time consuming. It's like whenever I do a video now, I have to then accommodate that extra time it's going to be, and then changing titles and graphics around to fit. So my initial idea for the video was not 9:16. It's always 16:9. So I think as a filmmaker, you have to figure out how to break that, or just say, this is going to be for this thing, this is going to be for that thing. But I feel like certain things don't always translate to 9:16.
It doesn't, yeah.
And that's where it gets frustrating and also time consuming. You're saying, how do I make this work for 9:16?
And what I've done too is like it's worked so well when I put the effort in, which makes me angry with myself. Where it's like, oh, just cut it, just do a recut because I cheat. I'll use artificial intelligence, so they have that in Adobe that does honestly do a pretty good job, but you still got to go there and kind of finesse some things. But like the few times recently that I said, no, you're making this cut a vertical 9:16, and then it's rewarding. Like the algorithm is like, oh, you're making videos? Oh, I remember you from 10 years ago.
That's right.
Like, yes, YouTube, I have 5,000 subscribers. Can I see them?
Yes.
And actually, it's not this. It's all new people. It's all new visitors. I go in the analytics. I don't understand.
I think one thing
hilarious.
that could be beneficial to filmmakers coming up in, you know, going to school. I don't know if they talk about this in film school or whatever, but there should probably be an entire like course or something on like producing vertical video and how the theory kind of works. Because what is your rule of thirds on a vertical frame? Is there?
You know, it's now I feel like it's so ingrained to like what the rules are. Like I know there are the you know, the golden
you really
rectangle
can't frame.
But now I feel it. I know where it should go mentally. But it's funny, you got to work around the text.
Yes.
It's like already on the buttons. Like I found myself like it's framed well, but then I look at my phone, I'm like, what's wrong? All the buttons are on the right.
That's right. The overlays.
So you gotta kind of like the overlays. Thank you.
Yeah.
You gotta kind of lean everything to the left, even you like your captions and stuff. But anyways, before I move on to more editing stuff, is there anything else we want to talk about the drone?
I think that the drone, the thing, like I said, that's interesting about this is, you know, there's not a lot of people doing and producing a lot of content with this drone yet. I think that that's one thing that people will explore more, and essentially once the weather gets nicer, I'm going to get out there and do more of this stuff. But I think the way that this works, they say go into areas where there's like a circle and you could lift off from the circle, and it kind of shows that like tiny planet thing like collapsing. So when you're going out there and you're filming with the sphere, you almost have to think of your frame, because once you get past a certain point, everything kind of looks the same. If you're framing for just standard video, it just looks like you're floating in the air, and you know, it's like, because that's, you know, just kind of like if you're in an airplane and you're looking down, everything just moves kind of slow. So I think you have to look at how you can use this to create action. flying through, you can't fly at the at Point State Park, but I think like certain things, like you were flying in a tunnel and you could do something where you like keyframed a cool like spin.
Oh, and make it look like it all of a sudden is flying backwards.
Yeah. So I think that the good benefit of this is you can use it in situations where you can't use an FPV drone because of the whatever's happening in the area. Like you just can't fly that thing and, you know, risk it. Whereas like this one, you could like fly it and you don't have to worry about possibly like crashing in. I mean, you still have to worry about crashing into something, but I think that
we established this. The text, it's never going to break again. It's going to work perfectly from now on. It has all the sensors.
I think the difference is like this one, it's a little bit, to me, it's a safer thing because you can see it. You're not strapped to goggles. That's kind of the benefit of that, and it just kind of gives you that you can see where you're going with it. FPV gets a little bit more like, it's more technical, I feel like, when you're flying FPV. So
I feel like this is just another version of RAW where I can just capture the entire space.
Yes,
and then just keyframe later. So I'm just sending like 5 drones to set, just fly around the action. All right. Give me all the data. I'll put it through some artificial intelligence, and I'll just be like, here's the script. Could you just make that keyframe all that for me? Thank you.
That's it.
So speaking of the craziness that I just said, might be possible because artificial intelligence is coming to video and filmmaking. Actually, it's already has, and you're probably already using it. You don't even know about it. But there is this app called Runway. Have you heard of Runway yet?
I haven't heard of Runway.
Oh, it does so many things. So Runway is pretty much an app store for machine learning tools that can easily be used by people who don't know how to code. The program lets creators such as animators and filmmakers experiment with machine learning by giving them access to a range of tools that can apply to their work with just a few clicks. Runway is designed to make machine learning more accessible to people with different backgrounds and connect to researchers with people who can benefit from their work. The company plans to make money by taking a percentage of sales from developers who sell their models through Runway. Now, I've been playing with this a little bit. Oh, I lost where it actually was. And basically, it does like all those, like you can do stuff in After Effects and you're like, okay, this will take me 20 minutes. But in there, it just like does it.
You talking about writing expressions?
Well, it like in a sense, but like, okay, so here was a really cool part where it figures out the depth in a video and then creates a alpha mat for that. So it can understand, since like, you know, if I'm standing this in frame and something's way back there, it will make an alpha and understand that my hand's in front of me, my nose is here, and whatever is back there. And since that's an alpha layer, you can do all these crazy effects with that. And it generates that really fast. And it was doing now you can do this in After Effects already, but if you had someone like walk across the field, you just basically draw a circle around them and say, make that person go away. And gone.
Awesome.
Gone. It works too well.
Yeah.
But they have that in After Effects. So I wish I would have had.
I think that, you know, we're talking about this stuff, like the coding aspect of what these programs can offer with AI, because you get into a situation and you're trying to figure it out. Like you said, you could spend hours trying to figure it out. Discovery is a big thing, but you know, time is money in our industry. You know, we wake up in the morning and then at some point we get tired, but we have to produce to put food on the table and money. So I feel like if we're trying to solve a problem for a client and do it quickly, sometimes this will help, because you can only do so many searches in Google to not really find what you're looking for a specific thing. And that aspect comes from years and years of experience. Now, after like you research it and you do it, and you know, maybe this program will help you like solve that, I think it will become like second nature, and you'll say, okay, and then you develop your own methods on how to do that. But I feel like, yes, there will be people that just take the lazy route and they're just like, you know, code me something, and you know, that's kind of like they just kind of you know, put it in the oven and then take it out, and that's it. Whereas I feel like for me, I think like writing expressions is something like I don't really understand coding. It would be like another specialization that I would have to spend a lot of time on. And you're also trying to grow your business and make money. So I think that in a sense that, like, if you're saying, write me an expression that loops a text or something like a ball bouncing or whatever. So I think that really helps because I don't have to dig through the internet for 4 hours. I can just be like, okay, there it is.
What's crazy about these AI tools is literally you could do that. Type in those words, make me this, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And it figures it out. Now, some basic tools they have right now, it's just like upscaling and like fix and grain and sharpness. And to be honest, there's a software called Topaz. I'm not sure if you've ever heard that one.
I have that, yeah.
That works way too good.
Yeah,
I was incredible. I bought that as soon as I tried it. I was like, okay, that's mine. But then motion tracking and like fixing audio, because I was always terrible at audio. I just want one button, like fix this, makes it sound better. I think Adobe now has something in the beta. You have to use it on the browser. It's called Adobe Podcasting or Podcast Studio.
Did you ever
it does some crazy stuff?
Did you ever see that years and years ago when I worked at an ad agency? This one guy, one of the producers there, he would say they'd come back, and this was before all the AI stuff happened. But he's like, yeah, he's like, you just hit the edit button, you know. But there was a video that I guess came out on, I don't know if it's College Humor or one of those things, but essentially like this guy talks about like hitting the edit button, and it's just you want. Oh, you want to trim that out? All right, we'll hit the edit button. But if you look it up on YouTube, just type in the edit button comedy or whatever. And that was funny because that was like before all this AI stuff came out, and that was making fun of the endless client changes that would come to you. And they would say, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? And you're just like, how many changes do we have to go through? Or that's going to take like X amount of hours. And they're like, oh, we don't have that much money. How can we make it happen? The edit button was supposed to be your go-to solution, but now it's becoming reality, which is crazy. So I have to call that guy at some point and be like, "Hey, you remember the edit button? Well, now it's
real.
Now it's real
in so many different ways." And I use Adobe Express, which I wouldn't necessarily as an artificial intelligence thing, but it is like pretty advanced templates that kind of you just need a few things. You just need a couple stock footage and a stock video. And now we got these AI-generated images. Well, if you can generate image, you can generate 2 images. Yeah. Well, if you can generate 24 of them, well, you're pretty close now. You know, you can. So, like, it's happening, and especially for marketing, it's. I think I thought earlier, I wrote this down somewhere, that content was king. That was the thing to say. Content was king.
I remember that.
But I think creativity is going to be king because content's just going to be button. Content,
that's right, yeah.
Content button.
Well, the thing that, and I know you did this on a previous podcast, but the whole Lensa thing, how how just dumb it became because everybody was doing it. And it was just like, okay, everyone has the same exact pictures. It is like becoming that element where like there was no creativity in what you could create with this software. It's like, all right, you know.
It's so limited now. I think that's like, next year lenses, if you do it next year,
maybe
you'll have such a variety of different images that you won't even know. Like you'll have a video of you going down the street in an army tank.
Yes.
And it'll be like, when did you shoot that?
Yeah. So I think, you know, the other thing, going back to, I want to talk to you more about Runway, but off the subject here is, you know, using technology to produce a product. So case in point, the photography that I create, some of these abstract images, it's not just thrown into an app and I let the app do the work. I use an app, but it takes thought in how to build these perspectives. And that's what people wonder. They're like, how did you do that? How do you make, well, I say there is an element of human creativity involved because you have to figure out what perspective works. And then when you bring it into the app, you know, how do you kind of manipulate that to create that inception-like effect? And I if you show a sample of that, you know, that will make it more clear. I think that's one people that they don't understand is like, I use an app as an additional element to build like something new, something fresh, but I don't put all of my faith into creating, you know, having the app create for me. It's like, it's just a tool that I use.
Right. When Photoshop first came out, they thought that was it. It's over. You know, graphic design, like writing, drawing, it's done, you know, it's just a tool and it will, you know, that will keep going. Like there will be a different feeling of just pressing a button. Well, we think.
Yes.
Unless the artificial intelligence gets incredibly intelligent.
Because I think that's what some people, like, they were saying when I first started doing it. They're like, oh, it just looks like some filter. And I was like, yeah, but it takes more than just somebody putting a filter on something to really make it unique. If I gave somebody that same exact picture and I gave them the program, I said, create me something, their result is going to be different than what I produce. So I think that's the thing is, like, unless you're using an edit button that does the same thing over and over again, but if the app gives you that freedom to, like, mess with, like, how different things look, then
it's just like a tool like anything else. You adjust, and a lot of these AI tools, like, we don't see the way you can manipulate things yet, because they don't, the programmers or developers haven't put them out there.
Yeah.
I think for ChatGPT, where we're going to talk about in a little bit, like, you can download a thing called Playground and, like, manipulate more of the what are the parameters and stuff, so you kind of get exactly what you want than what they want. Right. But you were showing me an app on your your laptop. If you wouldn't mind busting that out, that was like another thing that you were showing off of, like, so you were just kind of playing with it, but it looked like to me like you had a lot of samples of, like, phrases and stuff that seemed singy-songy, but I think you were also typing in words.
Yeah, so...
And it was singing that.
This software, it's been around for a while. It's made by Yamaha. It's called Vocaloid. And, yes, Vocaloid, and the newest version that just came out, Vocaloid 6, now has these, like, AI voices that, they're supposed to sound more realistic. So I think that with this and how the tool works for someone like myself and why I purchased it is, I'm not a singer per se. I can write, I kind of hear some things, but, like, understanding, and that's the thing is, like, I'm a guitarist, so I understand, like, how guitar works, but to create a melody that works for a vocal line is a little bit more difficult because I don't actively sing. I don't know what's possible or what's not possible. But there's this software, you can type in lyrics. And I did this thing that said, like, this is the Dustin show, This is the Dustin show, yay.
So, put the mic a little bit towards
okay, hold on. Let's try this.
Try it again. Turn it up. Good.
Let's go back here. So I typed in, this is the Dustin show, yay. This is the Dustin show, yay. So you can... the thing is, like, then you could do other things with this. Like, they actually have, like, presets. Here, I'll play another one. Let's see here. I can't be with you anymore. I can't stop thinking about you. I don't want to let you go. I love you.
And these are not people, right? It's completely digital.
And you could pick another singer. Let's see. Let's try Chris. I know you, baby. I won't make you.
Now, you can get in there and probably really program these to be very specific to, like, how you want it to be.
So I think that the thing is, like, there's people out there that will write vocal lines with this tool, Vocaloid. Now, I have another episode of Smart Haus. Maybe I'll come on and I'll bring the microphone that you can sing into, and it will play notes. So I think there's a lot of this software. Cool. There's a lot of software out there now that does this kind of thing where, like, it's giving you that ability. Like, is it going to make a singer obsolete? I don't think so. But in Japan, this has been very popular, and there's people that actually go on tour as the Vocaloid thing, and they'll have the cartoon image of it playing, and they pack out, like, a venue like PPG Paints Arena with this Vocaloid, and it's crazy. So if you go on YouTube and you search, like, for the English stuff, you could search Vocaloid Michael Jackson Thriller or something, and there's people that program the whole Thriller song with that, and it's crazy because it's a whole community of people that do this, AI voice. And and I think, like you said, maybe this leads into ChatGPT or ChatGPT. You could probably, like, say, write me a song, blah blah blah, and then you could drop it into Vocaloid, and
Yeah.
see where it takes you.
Yeah, and I've seen other software that do a multiple of like different voices, like can change. Like literally, one was like free, and it would make you sound like Barack Obama, and it was pretty good. And there were
Yeah.
two other ones that cost some money, incredibly better, but also had some of these singing things where like it's almost like anyone can sing now as long as you have some kind of creativity and you do the work ethic.
Right.
There are so many apps out there. It's insane. Like even in TikTok, which I think is so much fun to use, it has like a voice changing app.
I saw that, yeah.
And I don't know how it works. It's not like changing your voice. It's not like changing your pitch. It's like understanding what you're saying, I think, and then generating a new file because it sounds so good like whoever you choose, all the different voices. It's insane. And so that's just in TikTok.
The question is, and I was watching a video yesterday, this guy that reviews music, his name's Rick Beato, but he was talking about auto-tune and how like, and I was watching another video, how that came into play. So, and they said 1998 was like when Cher came out with Believe, and that was like the first time that these producers used auto-tune that really wasn't the intention of how it was supposed to be used. They pushed it to the max.
Yeah.
They made it sound robotic, but it became like this cool effect. So I think that, over the years, producers have been using it to the extent where it has been taking the life out of music, but the normal person listening to it is not going to understand that. I feel like the people that enjoy music, if they're going to go to a show, they might say, hey, we want to go to a show and we want to hear imperfections. Like, we don't care if the vocalist is flat here or there, because that tells us that, like, it's a real person. So maybe that's the thing, is like, there's only so much that, like maybe if you're Daft Punk, I guess, and you're like a techno artist, then, robot vocals aren't really a thing. But if you're a live performing artist, you have to be somewhat of a good singer to put yourself out there.
Maybe.
Yeah, you're right.
So
yeah,
what
maybe.
I'm picturing, because you see performers and they go out there with loop machines and stuff like that, and basically play a couple things here, a couple things here, and then it kind of sounds like they have a whole band. But with this technology, you have a whole choir. Like one person will have like 50 backup singers, and then and it's all just on like a little laptop, and they just have it all in this with the combination of loop machines and stuff like that. It will just be this huge show, all by one person.
Yeah. I think one thing, I don't know if I've heard from somebody else, but they were saying, are we training the next generation to be mediocre? Because is this allowing more people just to be like, just be mediocre, and people will accept you for just being that, like using technology because you don't really have the talent. Like if you look at, let's go back to, music being made like before this was all existed. Like you had to be a really good singer, you had to be a really good performer. But now technology has allowed the not so good performer become a great artist in a way. Now that's what I mean. I guess there's a debate on that. The same goes with movies. Like I've been going back and I've been watching a lot of Orson Welles movies, and I'm like, man, I fell asleep during college because it just wasn't connecting. But now that I
fell asleep in that class.
Now that I am a seasoned vet.
Wait. Our film teacher, the one that actually showed history, that was the most boring class of my entire life. High school, college, workshops. Nice man.
Yes.
But
maybe
God,
it didn't appeal to me. And I bought some of those movies like Witness and all those things. But I feel like it took me to the age of 39 to really say, okay, I can appreciate this. So my thing is, like, what they were doing at that time, like the Citizen Kane stuff was innovative for that time period, and what they were doing was like, I don't even know, I guess they were trying to advance technology, but it was still like an analog thing. They weren't using computers, and they weren't using the technology to dictate how, their films are going to be made. So I feel like that's, the evolution of how things are made. People have to push past that level of mediocrity to still keep, like you said, like, sell their creativity. And that's the only way you're going to.
And I think some people will. I think that it's just going to be more content. Some people will use a lot of the software. Some people won't use any, and that will be like cool. Be like, fuck you, mom and dad, I'm not using technology.
Yeah, right.
And I like how you use the word artist, because I feel like it's such a different viewpoint when you say singer-songwriter or singer, because someone has to have a great voice. And I remember seeing this clip on social media, whatever, a long time ago. And it had all these American Idol singers, and they are just belting it out, just wonderful, beautiful voices. And it's like, and they're seeing the crowd. They're like, oh God. And then they cut. Oh no. And then after that, they showed John Lennon just playing on stage by himself.
Yeah.
And then the joke was as they cut to like Simon and them like reviewing, and they're like, don't like it, not very good, you know, because he did. And it's right, because John Lennon didn't have this voice, but he was an artist.
Yes.
You know, and he was a songwriter, obviously. Right. But like, it was just that vision of like, oh my God, this person, it doesn't matter. You know, a lot of people can sing.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you're going to be a great singer.
Right.
Isn't that, it's weird to think that. I've been to karaoke and you come up to someone, it's like, oh my God, why aren't you famous? Why aren't you a star? It's like, there's something more to that.
There's a different layer to, you know, what using your talent. You have to also be able to write a melody. You have to play with a band. You have to do, you know, so yeah, there's more to it than just being able to do something. And that's where tools like this will help, but I think it's not going to really, you might not be able to sustain yourself with the reliance of a tool, because you're relying on technology to provide you with that assistance, but the technology might, you know, it might be spitting out the same stuff over and over again. So everyone that is out there might say, oh, I've heard this before.
Yeah, it gets real trendy.
So then you fall into that. So I feel like as a artist, as we were saying, you know, or a creative person, you have to figure out a way that you can use this technology, but then also be very different and build something that's like new or unique.
So now we are going to jump into some real ChatGPT news and such, because I've been using it so much. I used it every day. For hours I'm using it. Like, I'm just like, every day I'm like, oh no, just use ChatGPT.
Yeah,
I don't do it anymore. So of course now, and I'm a big Google guy, I have 3 different accounts. You guys can't see this, but if Darin looks, like, this is yellow, this is like a greenish color. You can't see. There's one black, and basically it's personal, my business, and then like my personal business.
Yep.
And the reason I do that is because Google, they have all the passwords. You know, you have to freaking autofill everything. It just starts to become too much.
Yeah.
And so I just decided I'm like, Google everything, whatever, calendar, I'm in. Well, supposedly ChatGPT, which is the new artificial intelligence, which I'm not sure if you used it or not.
Oh, yes.
Is mostly funded, or has a lot funded by Microsoft. So it's kind of a Microsoft thing.
Okay.
So Microsoft is planning to make changes to its search engine Bing. Who hell uses Bing anyways? By using the technology behind ChatGPT. Wonder how they got that gig. This will allow Bing to provide more human-like answers to questions instead of just links to information. The changes could help Bing compete with Google's Knowledge Graph, a tool Google uses to quickly provide updated answers to searches. It's not known yet how Microsoft plans to add ChatGPT to Bing. So have you used
Yes.
Damn it, I can't say it.
Yes.
ChatGPT yet?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I think we had a conversation about a month ago, and I was like, you know, we were talking about ChatGPT, and I was like, this is amazing, and it's free, and it's
free.
You know,
scary.
The thing about being free is that, I mean, how long is this going to be free? But we're using it as a research thing right now, as they say, but I'm using it in a way that's like, where can it take my mind where my mind would normally go, like with ideas. So for instance, and I was thinking about this yesterday night before I've come in on the podcast, I said, you know, I've been putting in ridiculous nonsense. I've been using it more for comedy. So I said, you know, write me a movie trailer about Geraldo's mustache coming off of his face and basically like, you know, starting its own pizza shop or something. And it will write you a movie trailer about just that.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, like if I sat down and I wrote that, it would be, you know, it'd be interesting. But, you know, you say like, I'm curious to see like where a robot would take me and how much more ridiculous would that sound. So I think that for me, my use for it is how much more ridiculous can I push the limits on stuff that's coming out of my head for some comedy sketches that I have. So I think that's like kind of the one things that I'm using it for. And I've used it for, I did a test where, like I said, write me a promo for production company B, like my friend Courtney, who runs Midnight Zone Production. I said, let's try this. So I put her company information in there, and then I put like my company information, and it spit out the same exact thing.
Okay, that's cool. All right.
So that's the thing is, like, there's the general, as they say with the general audience, like with auto-tune, the general audience is not going to notice that. They're just going to watch your spot. Whoever your target is going to say, oh, okay, I get the information. But the people like us, or the people that are in commercials and advertising, we're going to say they're using the same thing until, like I said, maybe it reaches that point where 6 or 7 places use that same prompt in ChatGPT, and it's like, why are all these commercials sounding exactly the same?
Well, that's when you ever watch a commercial and you get perked up. You're like, I know that sound. I used it last week. You watch the commercial, like, God damn it, everyone's using that same sound. I can't, or that same song.
Yes.
Can't use it again.
So I think that the key with ChatGPT is how creative can your prompts be, and how you can manipulate that to output something that is more unique than just saying. Or here's the other thing is, like, if I was doing research and I was like, man, I really don't understand, and I don't want to go to Wikipedia. I want something. I think you did a sample of this. You said, take the Barstool Sports, and summarize
submission
it.
policy.
Yes, right. And I think that's interesting, because, like, there are certain things that, like, you're reading and you're like, I'm not really comprehending this. Like, so maybe, like, how does this look, broken down? Now it's taking the work out of you to think that through, but again, time is money, and if you're trying to be more quick, maybe you spend your effort thinking about something else. Like I said, my specialty is in creative thinking and stuff like that, but, like, I would have to spend a lot more time trying to figure this other element out. So that's where I think, like,
it's a great sounding board.
Yes,
if, like, you're kind of stuck and you're like, spit me some ideas or give me a paragraph, and then you read it, then you improve and you kind of change it to work for you.
Right.
Now, like I said before, like, ChatGPT does have a version called Playground where you can have more control, and it's machine learning. So the more data you give it, the better it's going to give back. And there are other companies that are they probably have very similar models or something along the lines that are going to start coming out. Hopefully.
Isn't there one called Jasper or something?
Yes, actually, so that also uses ChatGPT. I can't do it. I got to come up with a name with it. GPT. GPT.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right.
That's a tough one. But I've been using it a lot for like metadata. That gets real annoying. So for work, for example, like putting up clips of podcasts all the time, I'm starting to move toward, like, actually having the captions up, especially for information. People love that. If it's not, like, so much, even if it's a film and stuff, maybe you make it a little smaller. But if it's for podcasts, people want to read and hear at the same time, because it just gets stuck in your head more, I guess. So to have those really pumps up the views and your engagement. And what's great with Adobe Premiere is you can just hit the transcribe button. And so it knows what you say. And so now you can do the text real quick. And then you copy and paste that and put that into ChatGPT. And then say, give me a title for this video. Give me a description for this video. Give me keywords for this video. And I am not overly, like, oh, I need to get my creative juices into that part. Like, I just need a description so the viewer knows this is what they don't need to be entertained. And I have took it one step more. Like, I have gone to, like, say, the guest's website, found their about section, and copied that and been like, this is the guest on this podcast. Paste that in. So now that it knows that. And then I take the transcript and then I input that. And then it understands what it needs to give me. And now I'm not sitting there trying to come up with keywords and descriptions and links. Now it turns into really quickly copy and paste.
Maybe this type of thing, like they say, like, oh, it's going to replace all these people with jobs. Well,
CEO.
like that, SEO.
SEO.
People that are in media buying or the SEO specialists or whatever. But it's like, hey, like, that is, it's part of the future. I mean, we're all affected by this. But how do you create something that is above that? So I think that's where, like this, like I said, for me, Like what I'm using it for is when there's no information out there on a specific thing. Absurd comedy. I talked to it. I said, do you understand tablature, guitar tab? There's very little information out there on like 8-string guitar or a 9-string. I don't play a 9-string guitar, but let's just say, people that have spent years and years and years studying theory, there's not a lot of people out there that are doing this. So I said, write me some chords that I can play and then transcribe it for an 8-string guitar. And it will literally give you that. Now, the strings that it puts are not, it's not, it needs more work because I'm sure people aren't asking it that. But I know that like the tunings that it's providing isn't accurate. So that's one element where I think like it could help somebody that is learning, that is hitting a roadblock when there isn't material out there and they're trying to develop something that is, they're trying to learn more of. So
I mean, that's what I really love about it, that it gives direct answers.
Yeah.
When you go to Google and other search engines, you got to get through some ads, and then if you even click on the correct article, there's always like this hubba jabber at first. It's just like so unnecessary. Even on the videos, Google did try to get, or is getting better at that, where sometimes you'll click on something and it takes you right to the part of the video where you need.
Yeah.
I do like that, but I mean, that's why I love TikTok. Like, get rid of the freaking intros, get rid of these outros. Give me the information now. Give it right to me.
That's right.
So, anyways, with all this happening, and it's literally weeks. Has it been a month? Since the artificial intelligence. This is what we've been given, by the way. This is what the public has access to.
They said something. It costs like $3 million a day.
It's crazy
to output with their like how many CPUs it takes to really, make this work. But I guess the company or whoever's
it's because it's the greatest thing ever. The investors are like, whatever it takes.
Yeah,
whatever it takes. Because at one point you'll get to the super intelligence, right?
Yeah,
is that gonna happen? Because this is where right now it's public. Whatever we have access to. I just don't see governments when it gets to a point where all of human intelligence, it has that and is faster, so it's basically super intelligent, that you just can't let anyone ask it anything. You just can't. You just go, how do you take over the country next to me? Oh, that's how you can't. There's got to be something in between. And it's just going to be crazy because we see what Elon Musk, he's got that basically. Well, yeah, he has his own thing, but he has the stuff you can put in your head. You just connect yourself to the Neuralink,
yeah.
And basically, you're going to plug yourself into the internet. But if you have some form of this artificial intelligence, well, everything's just going to come to you like this. And there's going to be that weird singularity. They're also making robots. He's making those robots, and they're becoming more human and more human every day. And if they have the technology, the future's so weird when you just start saying this. It's like, okay, well, what's that mean? What's that mean?
Right. And I've been watching videos because I know we were going to talk about ChatGPT, but they said a lot of these videos they're saying, how can you use, like, everyone's worried about the future and everything. It's like, okay, I'm worried about the future. I'm worried about, how this is going to affect jobs. But right now, while it's brand new and it's like not a lot of people understand what it is yet, now's the time to utilize it to its fullest advantage. Because then by the time people catch on, then it's going to be like, oh, okay.
It's like every app.
We're using ChatGPT.
I thought when I was on YouTube and I hit 5,000, and I hit 5,000 on YouTube, and I'm thinking that's today. Tomorrow is going to be 10. That's what I was thinking. Right. And then, Instagram came out and Twitter came out, and I remember going, I don't need to make any effort on those, and they're brand new. And I had an audience, and I could have probably shifted some, but it did take time, and I wasn't, Twitter is a different medium for me. I was very visual, and it didn't work. But looking back, it's like I had the opportunity. And the same thing when TikTok, started doing its run. Yeah. I'm thinking, okay, like, I'm not messing up this time. Like, how can I use this every day forever? And I have. I've been using it in everything I do. It's like basically my assistant. Yeah. Like, one interesting thing, I was using it for Excel. I was doing some business, like sorting some emails and running some newsletters, and like everything was like in a bad format. And like I know Excel and Google Sheets good enough, but not enough to really get that work out fast. Like I copy paste maybe some formulas, but I just copied all the data and threw it in ChatGPT and said organize it this way, and it did it, and it does do tables. So I was like, that's great. That's what I need.
One thing that I did, was another thing that I prompted it to say is I've been working on this documentary on the Pittsburgh music scene for many, many, many years because I'm a musician myself. And I was just like, I wonder what it would say, like, how do you become successful as a musician in Pittsburgh? And I wanted to hear what it spit out to me. And they said, well, there's a lot of different factors that come into play, but I think it said in a city that is smaller, it basically said, you have to go outside of Pittsburgh because there's not an interest.
Wow.
So it actually told me straight up that
get the heck out of Dodge.
It basically said get out of Pittsburgh and move to Nashville or a hub. And that is very frightening because if an AI is telling you to do that, how are you ever going to say yes, this is the place where I can break out. Now, you can't take that to heart because there are people that are successful in the city. But I feel like it's telling you hard line numbers, to become successful, if you are dreaming of becoming this award-winning artist, it's possible that you're, the algorithm.
Why is everyone leaving Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
AI.
That's right. Yeah. The AI is telling them get out. But
it was in Robin Hood. This happened, I think, during the pandemic. Some guy, put up crazy margins and made a dumb investment and lost, I don't know, a whole bunch in one day. And I don't know if it was an error or not, but he killed himself. Sad. I know that's terrible news, but it was it was this problem is working with he didn't understand how the software worked or anything like that. And then he took his life. And now we're thinking an AI, it's just going to be Pittsburgh's not a good place for you to be. You got to get out of there.
That's right. Well, exactly. You're saying, well,
economy.
That's the other thing too, is with this technology, you yourself have to do an extra layer of research. And that's going to college. I would say that's maybe one thing that we learned is you have to find multiple sources and you have to verify information. I mean, we've kind of learned that in the past couple of years with, news getting out and it's not really
deep fakes.
Deep fakes, stuff like that. So I feel in one aspect is you could use ChatGPT to kind of start it, but then you have to yourself as the human, check different things and say is this information?
Ask the AI. Can you please source this out for me? Is this right?
Or that's the thing. With my documentary, if I say this is what it's saying, is that the truth? And then you go out and you talk to people that are actually successful or whatever, see if that's verified. And that's one of the things is you have to do that extra layer of work, I feel, to really get to the truth. And
it's because everyone's already in the, how the country is with media and information is a lot of people are stuck in their bubbles and they just watch their content and it's just a hyperloop forever.
That's right.
And there will be bubbles. There's going to be some kind of AI bubble where it's somehow wrong. The specific platform has some information that's just a little bit wrong. And then this whole bubble of people who use that just think differently, or and over time, who knows what's going to happen?
I think Westworld, what was it? The one with Aaron Paul. That season was the one where they had this whatever. It was this thing that created that would predict, how algorithms or whatever. But that's what they said. You have no future. It's predicted that you wouldn't succeed in life, and then he destroys that thing.
Yeah, it was basically putting people like that away too. It was that's the same with the Marvel with the time keeping the Loki. You're screwing things up. We need to get rid of you.
That's right. So the algorithm could work less in our favor, but I feel right now it hasn't reached that it's out of control yet. So I think we're in a good spot right now where we're at, and we have to figure out just how to use it to.
It's about asking
boost
these apps the right questions.
Yes,
that it really is about that. And I found myself more and more actually asking TikTok over Google because it shows you stuff right away, and it's just right. It's weird how I'm this. I should be looking on Google. Nope, TikTok seems to be a little bit better. But TikTok has been in the news lately. I'm going to read this newsie just because I feel like it. So, because trying to like end the show here. It's like
Sure.
TikTok is still very popular among social media apps. #1 social, but the U.S. government has concerns about the app and its Chinese parent company, ByteDance. The government has banned TikTok from being installed on its devices, and some states have restricted access to its government computers. President Biden also signed a bill that bans TikTok from device managed by the federal government. Uh-oh, TikTok. I felt good. Did you not like that? I looked at you and you gave me the dead stare.
That's right. That's right. That was good.
Are you still on TikTok? Are you in it?
I am, but the thing is I don't keep my microphone and phone. I go into the app and I turn that off for some reason. Then when I upload something, I turn it back on. But I turn it off because I'm like, why do I? Well, another thing, it like drains your battery.
Oh, okay.
So that's one aspect.
I thought you're like, you think TikTok's listening to you, Darin.
No, but it is weird how like the cookies and all that stuff. Like I forget. Like I bought like a hair dryer or something. My mom needed me to order something, and all I was getting on Facebook was like hair dryer.
Facebook,
ads.
they're not good at that. It's like they get you after you buy the product.
That's right.
They're
Exactly.
like, what is wrong with that?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't need that now. But yeah, so I think that with TikTok or with anything, like you have to. Maybe you think like, how are they using my data? I mean, Facebook was like, that all came out. Like they're using the data, they're selling, it's a free app. So of course, like you have to think about that. But at the same time, like nothing, unless you like kind of drop off the face of the planet, and you become like just living in the woods, then your information is out there. But if you're using it as a content creator, you have to think about, certain aspects of like how, with the content you're putting out there, yes, it's going into a database of things, but yeah, as I think one thing I learned in the past month is like when you put something out there, you have to be ready for criticism, regardless. There was something that I did that poked fun at a local venue and an event, and I called it this thing, and one of the guys commented, and he's like, you're doing something that's, it's poking fun, and and I'm just like,
hey, meanie.
Yeah, I'm like, man, I was like, I guess you've never watched South Park before, so
it's probably the most publicity you've got all week, bro.
Yeah, right. So I think that's the thing is like, when you with TikTok, like you said, it's a quick source of information. If people use it that way, then it's beneficial. If I don't know why you would need to have it installed on something for the government. I mean, that's again like, what's the purpose? Is the government doing a TikTok? Like
I guess
I don't know.
the issue that with the government, what they have is that it is a Chinese company, and what happened recently was ByteDance, the parent company, did go into TikTok and look up some data on 2 journalists and found where they lived and what they were doing and what they were up to.
Okay.
So they don't like that stuff at all.
Okay, yeah.
And plus, the chance of if they wanted to, because China's government is super powerful, and this is in China, they can come in and be like, can we tweak the algorithm to make young people feel a certain way, whatever that would be. It's not necessarily like they're gonna make us love China. That's probably not gonna work. They would do something smarter than that.
They make us love weedest teenage dirtbag.
Yeah. Yeah, but
you're right. Or the corn kid.
You're right, but sort of let's tune up Rage Against the Machine a little bit on there, like that kind of stuff. But that is the sort of thing that they are scared of.
Yeah.
But the more I use TikTok, my opinion keeps changing. I keep thinking like maybe I need to figure something out and stop using TikTok. But now I feel like I'm in there with a group of friends. Not that I'm like talking to people like I used to on YouTube, where I did feel like there was a group of creators that I would kind of talk to, and we'd have the same viewers. I don't have that feeling anymore. I wish I did. I'm sure that still happens on TikTok, but I'm not that level of a creator. But I am trying to learn this ChatGPT and other editing softwares and, cameras and such. And the algorithms got me so good that like as soon as ChatGPT hit, all of a sudden it was just footage or just content of that. And I felt like we were all together. I'm like, I'm going to check TikTok today and see what did everybody learn today. And it'll be this guy's like, I did this input and got this. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I feel like I'm so connected to these people I don't know, and in such a different mindset now. Like just for example, my girlfriend, we needed to do something to her floor. We wanted to like buff her floor and do something with the wood. And then It's scary how it came up. I don't know how it came up in my TikTok. Maybe I searched something for it. Yeah, I know. But then like a video came up and it was so good at describing of like how to do it. Like step 1, this, step 2, this. And I was like, I love this.
Yeah.
And now that it knows, it's just, it got me, man. It got me. I'm in. I'm sorry. I'm in it.
And I don't know if you knew, but YouTube Shorts, like I was just talking to a guy last night and he said YouTube Shorts is now becoming like, it's driving more content on YouTube and becoming like, you know, people that have produced like long form videos and whatever, like their short form stuff is getting them more subscribers than, you know, that other stuff. So I think that the TikTok trend has been astronomical, way more than Instagram, because I feel like Instagram, you have to pay, like these other apps. Like
it's because Zuck is just sitting there kind of like
collecting money.
What are you doing? Change it.
That's
you see what Instagram changed for a day and everyone was like freaked out and they kind of tweaked it a little bit back.
That's right. Yeah.
TikTok has the better algorithm. I don't know what the science is or what the code is behind it, but it has this better algorithm. Here's an example, and I wish I would have had this video, and it's a Vsauce video.
Oh, yeah.
And they bring these people in, and they get this thing on their head, and it's basically recording brain activity.
Yeah.
And so all they do is like press this button on this box, and this box has a light. And then it's just recording that. So now it knows what it is. And then it says, okay, they say, press the button on the box, but if it lights up, you can't press it. And so it keeps lighting up. Every time they try to press it, it lights up. He's sitting there. Tries it, lights up. What has happened is your mind is making this decision first, and then your action is happening. Actually, the better way was to describe it is like you are consciously becoming aware of the decision. When you put it like that, it's really weird. It's like you're not in control. Basically, the whole thing's on free will, but he could not hit the button. You could see the frustration on Vsauce's he was just like almost trying to trick it. Like if I don't think about it, and it was not happening. And I think about that in the way TikTok works. Obviously, I'm not plugged into anything, but it knows when I'm swiping. It knows when I'm going back. It knows
if you watch a video longer than
it's getting data, just like in the thing I just talked about. It measured brain data. It's just different type of data. That I kind of feel that sometimes. Like I'm talking about, like it will show me something that I feel like I didn't really want or need, but then I look, no, it feel like I didn't want it, but I needed it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's what I needed.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I needed it. So it's like making me aware of a decision I didn't even know.
I think that's the thing about these, you know, like when you go on Google and you do a search now, it just seems like they've been bought out. I think that's the thing is like you could do before, like I would say 10, 15 years ago, and I was searching on Google, I'm like, man, there's a lot of stuff that comes up. Like I have so many resources that I can, now it's like, it's almost like it's moderated where you can't find everything that you wanted. If you go onto these are all resources. I think
if
that's
you go to page 2, it's like the deep internet, what is it called?
Right. Yeah, the deep web.
The deep web.
Yeah,
if you go to, I'm sorry, if you go to page 2, it's the dark web.
Yeah. So I think that's the thing is like with a resource like TikTok, I mean, if you're using it in a way that just, like you said, like you're searching, the user has to understand to be smart about it. And if you're searching for things that you want to find research on and tap into that community, that's one way that you're going to find things. If you're just using it just for nonsense, okay, fine, it's just an entertainment tool. But I feel like the smarter consumer is going to say, this is specifically why I'm using this app to find this particular information or communicate with somebody with a like-minded, for buffing floors or whatever, films or, and stuff like that, or ChatGPT, then, you're using it to its full advantage. So I think that's the whole aspect of technology. The government might not have a need for it. I think that's the thing is like, maybe that's fine. Keep them out of it.
Yeah. My thought is they're not going to screw with something that makes so much money. Capitalism will win out.
Yes.
Like it's just not possible. It's too good. It's making too much money. Someone's going to be like, excuse me, here's some money. Remember the money? Like, we don't want to get rid of that. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. So anything that involves like secrets and like, all that stuff, yeah, they're going to be anti, So I think, like I said, it's just, for people that are just, we're just using it as a research tool, fine.
Until we become the singularity.
Now I got to say
all
this,
together.
I was going to say like people that are going on Reddit or places like that, like, or even the 4chan, I mean, what are you using those sites for? It's a very specific purpose. I've never been on 4chan, but I've also tried to go on Reddit, and
I like Reddit,
and I'm like,
Reddit.
I guess they said like if you search a topic, that is a site where if like you're saying like,
it gives you what you want.
It gives you what you want and a link to that. So I think, like I said, there is a benefit to these types of resources that are out there. People that like videos will get instant. If the search tool works in the way that it's supposed to, you'll get like a link to whatever if you type it in. So. But yeah, I think that's, like you said, it's the future. You have to embrace it.
It is the future. 2023. Yes. Well, thank you, Darin, for coming on to the Smart House. You want to plug in any of your, I was going to say magician stuff, but that is like you have a channel called something like Magic something.
Magic Trade Day.
Yeah, okay. I was like, you're not a magician. You're a musician.
Yes, yeah. So I think, like you said, like if you want to check out some comedy videos, it is targeting the very absurd, very dumb, like I said, the video that was in question, I stooped to lowbrow humor, but I feel like there is an audience out there just like, man, I just want to turn my brain off and just watch. But yeah, so I started this
Adult Swim.
Adult Swim. Yeah, so it's like if you search Magic Trade Day, and I don't know if I told the story about Magic Trade Day, but that's back in elementary school or in middle school or high school, or where I went to grade school at, there would be this thing. Yeah, it's all the schools.
It's just the schools.
All the schools. They would have this thing in the cafeteria, like maybe once a month, where they would put the sticker on the bottom of your tray, and it was called. Where I went to school, it was called Magic Trade Day. Some people had it was called Lucky Trade Day, but I liked Magic Trade Day. So the logo is this sticker that at some point that I'll release, but that's what it is. It's like the sticker that goes on the bottom of the tray, and if you had that lucky tray, you'd flip it over, you'd bring it up, and they would give you like a cookie or something.
Oh, you were a good boy.
Yeah,
that means you're a good boy.
You got the lucky tray, like, man, like I got the extra cookie, So
you did not tell me that last time. That's really funny.
So that's the whole thing.
That's adorable.
And then my my production, DNAP's Productions, that's where I make my real money. That's where I can keep the lights on. Darin DiNapoli, I do photography work. I'm in a lot of things. That's why Dustin has me on, because I am integrated into a lot of different things, because I'm a all-around entrepreneur, a college graduate that has to figure out a way to sustain life as an independent, and it's not hard. I mean, it
is hard.
It is hard.
Right.
Yes,
it is very hard.
It is very hard. So you have to be integrated in a lot of different things.
Well, thanks, Darin. Thanks for coming on the Smart House. Hey, guys, you can check out all these news stories. They can be found on the Smart House Facebook page. You can also check out more stuff on www.thepitts.company. We got a bunch of, I was like, what do we got on there? We got videos and podcasts. I was going to say blogs. We don't have blogs. We don't write. That's what ChatGPT is for. And you can check out more of The Pits. It's endless amount of funny and informative content from Pittsburgh. Guys, I'm Dustin. This is Darin. This has been Smart House. Thanks for watching.